A fare increase from $1.25 per ride to $1.50 is already set to begin in July, but officials say they've already considered that into the shortfall projections and that another increase could be necessary. More than 2,500 students, faculty, staff, and community members have united here to defend public education. Many of the swim team students are here at CSUN on an athletic scholarship, but they have been assured that they will continue to receive aid until graduation. The tax would only be applied to methods that use ultraviolet radiation, like this tanning bed. In a pilot test of 100 Target stores earlier this year, there was a 58% reduction in the use of plastic bags. Up to 1 in 5 U.S. veterans from the long-running combat in Iraq and Afghanistan is thought to have symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. With the school facing an ongoing financial crisis, it was a sacrifice officials say they had to make to keep their head above water. This will be one of the last times these swimmers will practice their strokes in CSUN's 25-meter pool. The CSUN award-winning men and women's swim teams will be discontinued at the end of the 2010 academic year. CSUN officials say the financial crisis and severe budget reductions have forced the cut. The decision to cut the swim team would save $300,000 for the school, which would keep other sports programs afloat. But this will impact the CSUN swimming community the hardest. This is Hank Weinberger. His strength, the backstroke. He knows what he's doing when it comes to swimming. He even broke the school record last year. But when it comes to his future at CSUN, he has no idea what he's going to do.
We're one of the most diverse teams on campus. We're one of the best academic teams on campus. And I really think that it's going to affect everyone a lot, and it's going to be a really hard decision whether or not to stay or whether or not to go.
The decision will reduce the number of intercollegiate sports from 20 to 18. Other sports programs at CSUN cost a lot more to sustain, so why the swim team? Athletics Director Rick Mazzuto says the swim team is not mandated and that cutting it would result in the biggest savings.
If I thought there was any chance of continuing with the swim program, we certainly would not have made that announcement.
Barry Schreifels has been coaching the team for 17 years, and for him, the cut would mean the loss of his position.
There's very few Division I head swim coach jobs in the whole country, and I've reached that. And so for me to reach kind of the top of my profession and then have it taken away and try to decide what I'm going to do, I'm still confused.
The swim team has even added academic value to CSUN by bringing in students like 2009 graduate Simone Luker. She was a captain of the team and an award-winning journalism student who came to CSUN on an athletic scholarship. She's not part of the team this year, but was still saddened to hear the news.
I'm glad it didn't end when I was swimming, but at the same time, it's like all that hard work that we put into the team, it's kind of like, where's it all go now?
Many of the swim team students are here at CSUN on an athletic scholarship, but they have been assured that they will continue to receive aid until graduation. And if they do decide to transfer out, the athletics department will try to assist them as much as possible. In Northridge, I'm Dena Kalil, Valley View News. Los Angeles County transit officials are forecasting the largest operating deficit in their history. They're more than $250 million short on operating, and this has them considering cuts to bus and rail service, as well as fare increases. A fare increase from $1.25 per ride to $1.50 is already set to begin in July, but officials say they've already considered that into the shortfall projections and that another increase could be necessary. How much this could be remains unclear. And bus riders who have long complained about crowded buses and limited services are not happy.
I take the bus to school every day, so it's kind of coming out of my pocket, and I don't have a job, so that's really hitting home.
And I'm going to be constantly taking the bus, so cause it's my only way of transportation, so it's not a good thing for me at all.
I hardly work, and I don't have a lot of cash to go from point A to point B every day.
Metro Transit Authority officials say the gap was caused by cuts in state funding, as well as an 8% decrease in ridership. But lead organizer of the Bus Riders Union, Esperanza Martinez, says the MTA brought it on themselves.
You know, they have to basically go into debt, major debt, to build projects. And, you know, they get money from the federal government to construct, right? They'll get capital money, construction money, but they don't get money to operate the projects.
Freeway projects will cost nearly $200 million, and MTA officials are hopeful that it will create more than 2,000 jobs in Los Angeles. But service cuts to lines with low ridership may just cost some commuters their jobs. In North Hollywood, I'm Dena Kalil, Valley View News.
They say cut back, we say fight back, cut back, fight back.
These protesters are fighting for what they say is their right to quality public education. They flooded the streets of downtown Los Angeles as part of a nationwide effort to spread a message.
I think we're serving notice on the governor and the ne'er-do-well folks in Sacramento that until they stop balancing the state's budget on the backs of the poor and cutting our education money, we know there's no justice, and so there will be no peace.
More than 2,500 students, faculty, staff, and community members have united here to defend public education and to call on the government to stop unnecessary spending. Many protesters believe the state allocates too much money on funding prisons, but the governor has acknowledged this and says spending 45% more on prisons than universities is no way to proceed into the future. I will submit to you a constitutional amendment so that never again do we spend a greater percentage of our money on prisons than on higher education. Although the sun was setting, the energy of the protesters did not slow down. They continued to march down Spring Street to their final destination, the governor's office. Ingrid Vieira teaches 5th grade math, and she says she's concerned with more than just teachers' pay.
It's about the condition that the students have to suffer when they're in the classroom. When he tells us that we have to service 44 students in a 5th grade classroom, we think that's ridiculous.
And I think that it's time for us to stand up for, you pay so much money and you're getting less education. And this is a way for us to show that we are going to do something and we want to get our money's worth.
Regardless of the disagreements between lawmakers and school district officials, protesters say they will continue to fight for public education night and day. In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Dena Kalil, Valley View News. On Saturday, President Barack Obama spoke at the Democratic National Committee's winter meeting, which was held at the Capitol Hilton in Washington, D.C. Obama spoke about his opposition to the war in Iraq and reminded Democrats that he would not abandon his fight to reform health care. The president also reassured the Democratic Party that change can't come quickly enough. Since January, a record number of sick pelicans have come through a San Pedro nonprofit bird rescue center. The numbers are dropping, but the center is still struggling with decreased services and funds. Valley View's Rachel De Leon has the story. It was an opening weekend battle at the box office between two movies, with reports saying one and then the other pulled in the most money.